Hello, today we're going to explore how virtual reality can affect the real world. Before we delve into further detail, you need to understand what virtual reality means. The word virtual describes something that is near, whereas reality encompasses the human experience. Although, according to the technical definition, virtual reality refers to a three-dimensional, computer-generated environment in which a person can interact with and become immersed in the virtual world. Virtual reality has real utility because it creates simulations that allows us to travel into a different environment, thus permitting a person to experience realness from a virtual source, particularly through sensory stimulation. Immersion is possible when a physical body feels in sync with that within the non-physical virtual world.
You are in a city and will be taken 160 meters high above the ground, where you are to walk out on a plank. Easy enough, right? Actually, it isn't as simple as it sounds. Players will feel off balance as they walk with their hands out, feeling a sense of dread. Now, the goal of this game is to heighten the player's fear of heights. When they look down, all they see is the distance to the virtual ground and forget the fact that they are in a safe place in real life. It causes immediate fear and confusion as the player continues to walk forward with caution. And when they fall, well, this happens.
Suicide is not funny. What happens if I go outside?
Why is he screaming bloody murder? It's not like they're actually on top of a building falling to their death. Oh, are they?
Do we fall? Oh! Oh my god! Oh, we're actually falling!
Uh-oh.
This game is to not let go of the control keys on your keyboard, despite the many obstacles that exist to make you do so. Since they're not real, nothing should cause you to let go. The player will generally feel uncomfortable as a spider will claw up their arm and into their ear. Again, the spider is not actually there, and yet the player is reacting as if it is.
Don't Let Go focuses on the aesthetic of sound, but first we'll address what we mean by aesthetic.
All aspects of video games which are experienced by the player, whether directly, such as audio and graphics, or indirectly, such as rules. With regard to audio, the realistic sound effect of a spider crawling in one's ear tricks the player into thinking that there is actually a spider, solely based on the noise. When combined with other aspects of the game, such as visual stimuli, audio enhances the gaming experience even more and further immerses the player into the game world. So why is this happening? Well, sensory input is altered as VR displays realistic visual images to the user. Therefore, the user subsequently feels a connection to the actions performed in real life to the in-game actions. Consequently, whatever the user experiences in the game will yield a realistic reaction in the real world.
I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. I like to move it, move it. You like to move it, move it, move it.
So today we're actually at a local school in Toronto, Canada, and we're showcasing VR powered by Radeon.
I could pretty much represent any function that I wanted to on the board.
VR Jerusalem emulates a serious game such as within education.
This term is used as a label to refer to games that are marketed, produced, or used for a purpose outside of entertainment.
Students having more hands-on experience to see what they're doing in relation to mathematics. In this way, students are more likely to recall material, awakening their creativity and thinking process.
One student and researcher, Peter Neal, is working to uncover how optical and nervous system illusions relate to this phenomenon. Neal's team exposes subjects to stimuli which progressively become more immersive to determine what amount of input would prompt a physical response. In this way, he argues virtual worlds can be created to feel 100% realistic if the brain no longer questions the data it receives and believes in its realism.
Another man down. 1-3. Let's try to get our formation back. There's another stampede coming.
Latency is the time it takes data to be transmitted back and forth. If this transmission is interrupted, then the data flow is therefore messed up. To a player, that means that they will see a delay in the game they are playing, or they are just teleporting around the map. This will therefore disrupt their viewing experience, and as a result, they will feel disconnected from the game and may not want to play it afterwards.
What the hell are you doing? Stop! Your ammo's shooting into thin air. November, are you going off that?
Aside from VR's disadvantages, it is still growing in other ways. Advancements in VR have resulted in augmented realism once applied to a physical setting with custom motion simulators as well as 4D environmental effects, so things like game space and game mechanics will be drastically affected. Further development of virtual reality may lead to a future where VR becomes an integrated part of daily life or perhaps a greater form of augmented reality itself.